and Joe sit down to chat. New ideas spark, they can't be that. Podcast fun, fury so grand. Laughter flows, no need for a band. From life stories to wild speculations, each episode brings joy, makes you relaxations. Glaziar Gambol, we're off to explore. Laugh and learn, our show is forever. Incredible theories, side by side. Joyful moments we'll never hide.
We got white on black. End of the episode. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, if you I feel like the first two episodes, there was not a lot of spoilers when I went online. Welcome everybody. This is the Glaziar Gambol podcast, by the way, and we're talking Punisher, Daredevil. Daredevil.
Oopsie.
I feel like the first two episodes didn't have any spoilers, like just none. No matter where I went, nobody was either talking about it or the people who were talking about it weren't doing spoilers.
Sure.
First thing I did when I maybe my cookies knew I had already watched the episode, but first thing I did when I went online, first thing was just like 6 posts in a row about Punisher, White Tiger's dead.
That's usually not the first thing you get when you get on the internet. That's usually not the first thing you
right.
see.
Normally it's an execution video, porn.
Yeah, no shit. I see a ton of fucking people dying, and I stick around and watch it. So,
which is why it sticks around. Why I come back.
Oh my god, I hate seeing people die. Watch someone get decapitated by a helicopter blade somehow. All right, sweet. Off topic. Back to Daredevil Born Again here.
Yes, back to Daredevil Born Again. Third episode. Some are saying best Marvel experience they've had in years. That's some. But I've seen some really solid reactions from this. I think it's because we're getting a bigger dive into the characters, and because it actually was a very good episode. Last week we had differing opinions on the first couple episodes. We both really liked the second one. You really liked the first one. I did not.
I just liked just the fact that it's a Marvel property and you get these characters back. More information's coming out about this, about like the first episode, about how actually the second episode was supposed to be the pilot.
Correct.
And the third episode, well, the first like 6 episodes apparently are going to be 2 through 7, rather than 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 6
right.
episodes.
Instead
so
of
2
1,
through
2, 3,
7.
4, 5, 6.
Right. So that's interesting. And Hambone, hi buddy. Do you want to get in the episode?
Well, the fact that it was part of reshoots, I think, at least partially explains why I might not have enjoyed it. They made the decision of they thought it made more sense, especially story-wise, that first episode was needed, which I get it. It kind of explains why Daredevil went on his hiatus, why Matt was like, nope, not being Daredevil anymore, which if they started with the second episode as the pilot, you wouldn't really understand the interaction between him and Kingpin.
Right, and just the fact that, like, you bring Deborah Ann Wolfe and you bring Eldon Henson back and you kill them off screen, that doesn't make any sense. It was nice to see those characters at least at the minimum as well. So
sure. Well, this third episode was awesome. First 2 episodes apart, we talked about those last week. If you want to see that episode, go ahead and check that out. We discuss some things that were mentioned, and again, we are often ahead of the curve. Thumbnail last week involved Punisher because we talked about Punisher, and then end of this episode, it was a pretty heavy focus on Punisher, especially with the ending being White Tiger after being found not guilty on all accounts, even after Bitch Boy lied under oath.
Nikki Torres,
yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have just been so cool just to see Matt Murdock cook in that like little stretch,
which he still did because of what he did.
Right.
So. But then after he was found not guilty, he goes out, even though Matt tells him not to be White Tiger anymore, goes out as White Tiger.
You can't do this again. Yeah.
And gets shot in the head by somebody wearing a hood and a Punisher skull shirt. with like a flak
Like
jacket
the
and
body
everything.
armor, yep.
So
It's very Punisher-esque.
yeah, meant to look like Punisher, but
Frank,
most of the internet is like, there's no way. We've seen undercover cops wearing the fake Punisher,
we see they're showing the Punisher logo all over the place,
and there was
which is
also the
I don't want to
set
bring
leak.
I don't want to bring like politics into it, but like the we've mentioned in like how this first episode is kind of similar to like how the world is now.
Yeah. Yep.
And you go back to like say the January 6th thing, and people were wearing the Punisher shirt, like, and so that's like
Yeah.
it's just so ironic that like that's coming full circle, and like it's they're using that as like a representation because it actually happened in the world we live. So
Mhm.
I just think that's crazy too. So.
Yeah, we talked about that in the first couple episodes, was how it feels like eerily too familiar to the real world now. And then the whole joke that I've seen now with people loving this third episode was the fact that the people now that currently have like the Punisher logo on the back of their F-150
Right.
are going to be scraping that off after they watch this show, or they're not going to watch this show now because of how they're portraying it, which always funny, always to see people that
I mean,
sensitive. Just enjoy the
yeah,
show.
there's still right.
But it was outside of that, outside of like the relations to real life, which is always eerie but can be pretty cool. We get to see Kingpin has made his, again, if you want to bring it back to reality, Kingpin has decided his favorite media outlet, and he seems like he only wants to talk to this one specific media outlet because they're going to portray him in the way he wants.
Right, like instead of like the daily paper, the New York Times, right?
Right, he specifically wants BB because he thinks BB's on his side, and New York Times is going to portray him honestly, which he doesn't want.
Right.
So again, we get some similarities there with the world as is, but yeah, it was pretty cool to get BB back, because like we mentioned in last week, she's gonna be recurring because I think she's definitely important, and I think Heather being involved is going to be like kind of the glue that holds everything together. They had Fisk and his wife at therapy again, and I don't know. I just, the episode itself was like heavy courtroom, and I saw that people really loved it.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
And we talked about last week how She-Hulk fell because they told us it was going to be a law show, and they never had.
And then she literally gets cooked in like 15 seconds.
Right. And it never felt like a courtroom or law show ever.
Right.
And then this whole episode was like a badass courtroom Law and Order feel with a little bit of superhero involved.
Right. Little back and forth, and then Matt as the lawyer kind of talking shit to the cop is funny too. Like, he's like, what are you gonna do? Like,
right.
You know you're gonna get stomped if you try me in this bathroom. Like,
and you also know you have to answer specific way on the stand, because if not, I can just be like, hey, and I was at Nikki Torres' house last night and you were trying to tamper.
Right.
It was cool. When they were chasing Cherry through, when they thought he had Nikki, I was like, well, clearly Nikki's not in there.
Right.
Like there's
all that just to let him go back.
Right. The only thing he wanted was that little bit of drugs. That was all he did it for. And then he saw all the other cops. Matt heard his heartbeat increase, so he knew he was gonna lie.
Matt heard. Yeah.
And then he lied, and Matt was pissed. But then Matt whips out. He's pulling his. Matt
he's
tells
pulling his mask out.
Are you or not
for when
White
Hector?
Tiger?
When Hector was on.
Right. Which, rest in peace. That he did a very good job with this role.
Here's
awesome
how I see it, though. Here's how I see it, though. What they didn't show Hector putting all that stuff on either.
Yeah, they did.
I feel like they didn't show his face, though.
Yeah, they showed him when he was like pulling it over his neck. They showed his face, and then they showed him put his amulet over his chest.
I wonder if that, like, he can survive from that.
Well, and I mean, the actor passed away, so.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that's why I said rest in peace.
Got it.
So the actor passed away. That's kind of partially why they killed him.
Sure.
The actor unfortunately died of cancer in 2023.
Sure.
So yeah, it was sad to see him. Sad to think that we don't get to see more of him, considering he was very
I thought it was
talented.
phenomenal. Yeah,
I can't remember his character's name. Hernandez in Call of Duty. He was a very prominent Call of Duty villain and voice. He's just a very talented guy, and it would have been cool to see more because I would have liked to see some involvement with White Tiger, maybe helping fight Muse, and just would have been cool. But with our initial reaction of the episode out of the way, I do want to talk now about the set leaks. I don't know if you saw those.
No.
Kind of gave away that it wasn't Punisher. That's why a lot of people are like, it's not Punisher.
Sure.
There is a cop, a guy dressed up as like an undercover cop on the set, wearing the exact shirt and flak jacket combination.
Sure.
And it's not
Frank Castle.
Frank Castle. I was trying to think of the actor's name. I'm blanking.
John Bernthal.
John Bernthal, yeah. Who's going to be in the Odyssey, by the way. But
bro, everyone's going to be in the Odyssey. It's going to be sick.
That's my favorite. Iliad and the Odyssey are like my favorite books. And I have a copy right there. I can turn and look right at it. It's such a good story. I can't wait to see John Bernthal. He's going to kill it. But so we basically know it's not him because of the set leak, unless that's to throw us off.
Punisher hates Kingpin. So like if Kingpin wanted White Tiger dead, Punisher wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like Punisher hates Kingpin at that point. Kingpin tried to kill him in prison. Like,
well, one thing we did see is that after whoever shot White Tiger in the head, he doesn't take the amulet, and he just leaves his body there.
Right.
So assumedly we can assume that the amulet's still there.
Another one.
Yeah. Right. There was apparently a set leak of his daughter wearing the White Tiger costume.
Sure.
So there's a good chance White Tiger makes a return. There's a good chance it wasn't the real Punisher. And there's a good chance that we get to maintain White Tiger within the family of Hector Ayala.
Sure.
But I don't know if it could just be to throw us off. It could be part of the reshoots. Like they had multiple reshoots. So that could have been a set leak from before a reshoot for all we know. They might not bring White Tiger back. But obviously if he passed away during or after filming, they might have at a reshoot where they pass along the White Tiger amulet, which I think would be cool. I think it's respect to the character, keeping the character's origin from the comics more realistic.
Typically White Tiger is female in most like comics,
and Puerto Rican, I believe. So
sure.
I think that sticks with it. And the tree frog in the credit was like a cherry on top. Yeah, it was like, because it was dead silent, and I was like, is there gonna be a scene? And then the croaking starts, and it's like, oh, that's beautiful. Like it was so good. It's just we've mentioned it before already with the audio of this show. We knew was gonna be a big like plus because Daredevil is focused around audio, so they're gonna have cuts. But little things like that, even which don't really affect how you feel while watching the show, they affect more how you feel after you leave it. And it was a beautiful goodbye to the actor, but it was also a good goodbye to the character, and kind of just like a good pull from a viewer standpoint. When it started happening, I was like, this like feels real. Like I feel involved in it. It kind of sucks you in, and it's very, very good.
Sure.
It definitely, out of the first 3 episodes, episode 3 was my favorite.
Right.
Especially if you combine
here.
the last 5 minutes of episode 2.
Sure.
Like if you took the last 5 minutes of 2 plus all of 3, that 50 minutes there has been just like locked in. I don't want to stop watching. Why do I have to wait another week?
Right.
Love it. And I'm so happy that these guys like Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio get to play these characters that they clearly loved.
Right.
And it shows. Like, it shows on film with Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox. You forget so many times that they're not their characters. I saw the joke
Dude, it's
that
hard, but yeah, it's hard to believe that like Charlie Cox can play like blind that well. Like it's just him in the courtroom. Just I don't know. Like
for me, it
I don't.
was
It's
the
just
cooking scene.
Oh yeah. That was a good touch too.
He was
Like he was checking everything. He can.
yeah, the feeling
Obviously,
of the
he
bowls.
probably. Yeah.
He probably what?
Oh yeah, when he was filling the cups. When he was filling the cups, he had his hand on. He had 2 fingers on the edge of the cup, so he'd probably be feeling the vibration on how full it is.
Like he clearly had consulted somebody who was blind or watched how blind people interact. Because I saw this online, people joking as well as people just straight up admitting you forget that he's not blind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think the same thing about Vincent D'Onofrio. You forget that he's not Kingpin. And honestly, the woman who plays Miss Fisk as well, you forget that they're not a couple. Like you forget you're not actually married. These are like characters. There's been a few people in the show that, honestly, most of them have felt like they're absolutely nailing it. You could put that under writing. You could credit that to casting. Whatever you want to credit it under, I think part of what makes this show so good already is the fact that all these people feel like they're meant to play the character that they are.
Right. Even wait till we get like John Bernthal. Like this show went through a ton of reshoots, right? But they went and they got a Punisher writer to come do the reshoots and the rewriting and stuff. So like they have to know how to unlock the Punisher because they did that. And so like I'm excited to see, Frank Castle's part because like
and the kid who plays Muse as well.
Yeah, and you've got John Bernthal starring in this thing as like a side character, but you have the Punisher writer writing it. Like it's gonna, I don't know, it's gonna be peak.
Yeah,
like, it's gonna be great
for sure. The more that's occurring, I do think that because Christian Ritter, teased a couple times, I'm in New York, I'm wearing my Jessica Jones.
They are doing season 2, but I think you're still gonna get a little something.
I think that's gonna be final episode credits. I do not think she's gonna show up in any episode.
I agree.
Punisher will be the only additional guy.
Yeah. You might get Bullseye back at some point, but like
he will. He's based on where he ranks in film credit as well as pay credit for the show. He either got paid a ton for that first episode, or he will be making a return because I know that's kind of feels sketchy for some people. Like, oh, you shouldn't be looking at that, but where he ranks in credits and pay, he will be coming back. There's just no way they paid him as much as they did.
He's too dope. He's too cool.
Yeah, exactly. And he's again one of those characters that he fits who he's playing, which is so awesome.
Yeah.
But he'll be making a return. Muse will be coming in. Punisher will be coming in, and I think end credit for the final episode will be Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist. Most likely just Jessica Jones.
Right.
But the big thing is to me, my big question mark of next, because everybody wants to talk about Punisher. Everybody's like, what's going to happen with Punisher? My big thing is Fisk, Kingpin.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I think fans are waiting for a little bit is when is he going to put the costume back on? Charlie Cox. When is he going to put the costume back on? Because once again in this episode, he's fiddling with the horn on the bench, like kind of contemplating. Yeah. And they make sure to show that. So like sooner or later, he's gonna have to put it back on, or at least think about putting it back on, and like give us a like a Batman scene where like you're looking in the display case and your reflection like fills the suit. You know what I mean?
You're right. Well, and
like how they do that.
That scene with the playing of the horn to get again the nerdy side, the heavy breakdown side of filming, or even just basic analysis, however you want to view it, is some of the most fun part of watching shows and movies. he is sitting in that courtroom like it is a church. He is sitting there almost like he was one step away from all he had to be doing is kneeling to feel the difference there.
Sure.
Looking at that horn basically feels torn, almost like praying or deciding what do I want to believe, who do I want to be. It felt like the similarities, obviously it's not a church, but like it felt so spiritual for him. It felt like such a character divide. You are waiting for him to put that costume on, and that scene
It's
kind of
a
painted it for you really well.
yeah, and it's actually like it's a parallel between him and Fisk. The parallels between him and Fisk in the show is like uncanny because they're both evading going back to their roots. Like they're both
Right.
like Fisk is like I'm not that person anymore. We're gonna do things this way, and Matt Murdock's like I'm not doing it this way. I need to stick to like the right way.
Mhm.
And eventually it's gonna clash, and they're gonna be like, well, shit, like
We are
gotta
who
get
we are.
we are who we are. We got to get back in the ring. Like I can't do what I want to do
Well, and Hector even
without
told him,
that.
like Hector explains it like you don't put on this mask to hide. It's part of who you are. Like I am White Tiger. It is me. You do it because it's the right thing to do. And I feel like he was telling that to Matt, knowing he's telling him like, no, Daredevil is who you are.
Right.
It's part of you. And I feel like they could go back to that in a flashback. They could talk about it with like Charlie. Matt could just say the same phrase, but I feel like it is maybe he says that to Hector's daughter, like it's just part of who you are.
Right.
But I think he will get that moment where he realizes like I have to be Daredevil. And
Right. Same with Kingpin.
right.
Same with
I want to see
Wilson
him in his
Fisk.
big old white suit.
Yeah, they teased it too. He's going through his suits and he gets to the white one and then he's like, nah, I'm gonna grab the gray one or whatever.
He's still got bloody knuckles again.
Mm-hmm.
Like
So does Matt.
they both
So
had
does
bloody
Matt.
knuckles. Exactly.
Right.
They're painting the parallels between the two, which the one thing Kingpin has like it may not be who they are at heart, but they are very similar. Like most stories, the villain and the hero have a lot of similarities, but these two, they are making sure to make that a point through the writing is look how similar these two characters are in their struggles and look at how each one is handling it differently.
Right.
It's super good.
It's taking me back to like Walking Dead. Like we're following Rick this entire time. Like you follow Rick Grimes the entire story, and then you get to the point where he has that conflict with Negan, and Negan's the bad guy. But if we were to be following that entire story from Negan's perspective, Rick would be the bad guy, and I think that's the same thing here. Like that's the same thing here.
Right. And just like in both of those scenarios, you may paint the other guy as the bad guy, but you know from a general moral standpoint, one of them is clearly making more ethical decisions than the other.
Right.
So like you may have been following from Negan's point of view, but as soon as you meet somebody like Rick, you know, oh, Rick clearly a good guy, and like he may be painted as the bad guy. Like even if you started from Kingpin's point of view, you'd see Matt as the bad guy, but if you critically analyzed it while you're watching, you're like, we've been following the bad guy this whole time.
Yeah.
Because like Negan was a lot more willing to kill, kept walkers as like chained up. That's not something normal, sane people do, even if that's the person you've been following. Kingpin manipulates every decision, murders people in cold blood. Like even if you've been following him from that point of view, at some point you're going to feel like, okay, maybe the guy I'm following is the bad guy.
Right.
I'm really, I that's who I want to see more of. Like, yes, he's going to BB, and yes, we've got to see what he's doing behind the scenes as mayor while still trying to be partially like Kingpin, but he kind of wants them to kill each other, and we don't know his motives. Like, he clearly has this great plan that he's even hiding from his wife.
Yeah. Yeah, and his wife is trying to do things. They're trying to do things. She's like, you got to do things the right way. You can't really get your hands dirty because you're on show like I am.
Right. His right-hand man is clearly the only guy that knows exactly what his plan is.
Right. And that's why she's sending him too. Like, so she probably is like, I can't do this. Can you do this? And then he went to Kingpin and was like, she wants me to do this.
Right.
Because that's why he was like, I don't want to get to the point where I can't trust you. Because you probably enacted this plan without my consulting.
Right.
And then he's like, all right, yeah, my right-hand man, you go ahead. I think his name's like Burke. Like, Burke, you go ahead and you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you do that. That's an okay thing to do, and none of our faces are attached to it. So
$1.5 million as punishment. They make
1.8. Yeah, 1.8 mil.
Talks about it like it's just a regular number, as if these are just numbers we casually deal with regularly. It's like, oh, that's the scale in which these guys operate. Got it.
Yep.
I will admit that when
that's obviously a big chunk to the track suits and the other group, but
but that's just chump change to them as an overall organization.
Right.
I will admit, though, in that scene with the truck hijacking, until the following scenes where they explained what happened there, I was kind of like lost. I was like, wait, who am I watching here? And who's carrying what cargo? Like, what am I watching right now?
Yeah, that's why I was like, shit, like, are the drivers, if the drivers are Kingpin's guys, like, this dude's toast. Like, if the drivers were Kingpin's people, rather than like one of the other like small mafia groups or whatever, I was like, these guys are screwed. But luckily it was just one of the other like mafia members or whatever.
Right. And they all want to meet with him in person. It's like, no, he can't meet in person anymore. He meets it in person. Somebody takes a picture of him and it gets posted.
Yep.
It just can't happen. But yeah, overall, the acting, the writing, and the desire to know what's going to happen next is incredible.
It's going up. It's going up for sure.
I am shocked at the viewership numbers not being higher, to be honest. They are 2.5 million, averaging less than Agatha. And I feel like that is 100%, like, it paints a picture of just how popular both Agatha, Aubrey Plaza, Catherine Hahn, and even like the Scarlet Witch.
Right.
I think that just shows the popularity of those characters and the show WandaVision, because from a more generic audience, like if you casted the same wide net over the general public that for Agatha as you did for Daredevil, I would assume a wider array of people would enjoy Daredevil.
I think you're going to see whenever Punisher kind of debuts in this series, I think you're going to see all those watch numbers starting from the beginning go up. Sure. Because everyone's going to be like, oh, like, have you been watching Daredevil? No, I haven't, but I've wanted to. Oh, well, Punisher's in it. And it's like, really? Like, Punisher was in the last episode. It's like, really? Okay, yeah, I'll start watching it.
One of the shows on Disney Plus, I think it might have been Loki season 1. Like, after the 3rd or 4th episode, the episode numbers 1, 2, and 3 skyrocketed as well.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I could see that happening. I'm sure that people are waiting for Punisher to show up.
People are waiting, which is crazy. Like, people are waiting for sure.
And I know that a lot of people are not fans of like weekly releases, so some people might just be waiting until they can binge the whole thing.
Right.
That's hard with shows like this because of people like me and you that talk about it. Because like people, if you don't want things spoiled,
talk about it for sure. Yeah.
Like, it's hard to wait for a show like this if you don't want things spoiled. Like, if you wait for the whole thing to come out before you watch it, you're going to know which characters are going to be like sneak peek. You know how, like, if Jessica Jones or any of the Defenders are going to show up outside of Punisher. Yeah, I don't know why you would wait at this point. Maybe if that's just preferred watching method, but again, I'm surprised more people aren't watching this, especially with how good episode 3 was. I think you're right. I think you're gonna see a skyrocket from the first few episodes after Punisher shows up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
or even when he puts the suit on, because then there's gonna be a little clip of him with the suit on out on the internet, and then people are gonna be like, all right, yeah, here we go. All right, here we go. And then they're gonna go watch it.
Will he put it on with a broken horn, or will he put yellow on?
Yeah, I don't know. He's got that yellow suit. Obviously, he has a yellow suit, and there was the shot from the trailer of like 5 different helmets. So,
Depending on
yeah,
which
we'll have to
Daredevil he
see.
feels like being.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are we yellow, red, and black? Are we black and white? Are we red on red?
Yeah.
Instead of
Yeah.
like going through his closet to pick the color of the suits, it's going to be picking the color of his super suit.
Yeah.
Just going to say, if that happens now, we're taking credit for it. It's already been filmed and shot, but no, we take credit for that. That was us.
I want to if they do, see now I'm like trying to figure out how I want Jessica Jones to debut. I don't know how I want that to, because she's gonna be like, she's gonna say something smart assy. She's got to,
Right.
like,
yep.
so I don't know. I still think it would be the best if like he goes to whatever and there's like a little like, because like her work office was also her apartment in the show. So like if there's a little boy running around and the little boy answers the door or whatever, and then Jessica comes around the corner. Yeah, I don't know. And you'd be like, really, asshole? Like, yeah.
Luke.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, that'd be good. I can't wait. I think the show, if it continues on this trajectory, there's going to be at least one 10 out of 10 episode. Can't wait.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be so good, so good. Do you got anything else? I think we've covered what I wanted to talk about.
Nah, man, we've been chatting this one up for sure.
All right. Well, then, for all of you watching, especially if you've stuck around, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, all the favorite things for us, all the things that help us out a lot. Let us know. What did you think? Has it gotten better for you every episode? Do you want to see White Tiger be revived with his daughter? What do you think BB's role is going to be? I'm very interested in a lot of these. So, and when is Muse going to go Muse? What direction are they going with Muse for this version of the character? Outside of that, just want to let you all know you do look great today. G.
GG.
3.
He's pulling his cock out.
2. 1.